We welcome you all again. Today, we're going to discuss about the three most fundamental things, what we call the three refuges in the teachings of the Buddha, in the teachings of Lord Buddha, what we call the Tisarana, three refuges. So the word Sarana, Pali Sarana, so means something like a refuge, something like a place of security, a place of safety. So here, these three refuges, starting with the refuge in the Supreme Buddha, Supremely Enlightened Buddha, we have to understand them correctly, these three refuges. When we take refuge in the Buddha, it is committing ourselves for our own welfare, committing ourselves towards our own inner purification. This is the refuge. So when we take refuge in the Buddha, when people recite Buddhaṁ, Saraṇaṁ, Gacchāmi, so this is like this. So Buddha is the perfect embodiment of enlightenment. So he attained to the highest level of attainment, that is the enlightenment. And then he gave the path to all of us to practice and to be enlightened by ourselves after practicing. So when we take refuge in the Buddha, we take refuge, we acknowledge that enlightenment is indeed possible to attain, because the Buddha was enlightened. Following the Buddha, so many others were enlightened. Following the Buddha, so many people till now walking towards enlightenment. So the enlightenment isn't something that is impossible to attain. It is very much possible to attain. But so we have to really make that effort. We have to make the effort, and we also have to have the wish to be enlightened. It's very important that we have a wish, a very complete, dedicated wish to be enlightened. If you ask yourself this, there are so many things that we do, all of us do, whether it's the monks or whether it's the lay people. We do so many things in our day-to-day lives, or we may have certain plans, we may have certain ideas about ourselves, or we will have future plans, whatever it is. Now the thing is, what we give most importance, that's what matters. That's where our real dedication is, what we consider as most important. Some people may want to start a business, some people want to find a suitable job, some people want to do something else. So many people with so many ideas. Hardly will you come across people who will tell themselves with complete dedication, other things are just other things. They're never going to be good enough. I want to commit myself fully for my own liberation. Fully, wholeheartedly, 100%, 100%. Now that kind of commitment is a real commitment. Now people say, we don't see enlightened people. It just starts here. we don't see enlightened people because people really don't bother about being enlightened. People don't really bother about their inner purification. They have other things to think about. Other things are not necessarily bad, but other things are not good enough. The problem with other things, whether it's your job, whether it's your financial condition, whether it's your relationship, whether it's your family members, anything, doesn't matter. Whatever it is, it's never going to be the good enough. Whatever it is, it will always have some issues, some difficulties, some problems, some conflicts, bound to be. Find me someone who says, there is nothing wrong with my job, it's perfect, absolutely perfect. Find me a business where people say, everything about my business, there are no ups and downs, it's all perfect. Find me one relationship where they say, there are no good or bad, there are no conflicts, it's all perfect. Such things don't exist. It's inherently, the world inherently is just like this. Things are good for some time and then they become bad. Or bad things, they come, go. And then the good things, they also come and go. Just like this. So this, we have to recognize. We are not able to recognize this fundamental thing. That's why we have so many goals. But having enlightenment as the real, complete, final goal, such mentalities are very, very rare. Very, very rare. Very few people would be really, okay, this is enough. I really wish to seek the true purification. I really wish to be liberated. Such level of dedication. So when we say we take refuge in the Buddha, we start making these steps, not for other people, but for ourselves. We start making these steps towards enlightenment. So Buddha was enlightened. He also had to strive for very long. It didn't happen to him overnight. He also had to struggle and strive for a long time. But then, ultimately, by striving for a long time, he could make his heart free. He could be enlightened. And then he gave these teachings, following which many people were enlightened. So the thing is, when we acknowledge this, yes, enlightenment is not an esoteric idea. It is not a theoretical idea or anything. It's something that is very real, possible to attain. And when we acknowledge this, and when we also acknowledge our minds have impurities, our minds have many kinds of ups and downs, our minds get into or get stuck with so many things. Certain things we like, certain things we don't like. Sometimes we hate people, sometimes we love people, sometimes all kinds of things. This is the defilement of our own mind when we recognize. So with this kind of mind, just going here or going there, liking this and disliking this, it's never going to be good enough. It's better to put it down. It's better to make a beginning. Let's start somewhere. When we do like this, then automatically this is what acknowledging the enlightenment of the Buddha and putting ourselves on the path. This is the refuge in the Buddha. So when we say, I take refuge in the Buddha, it's not like Buddha is going to come here and take us to enlightenment. It's not like this. Nobody can take us to enlightenment. Nobody really can. Is a sound reaching at the end of the hall? So nobody can really make us enlightened. In fact, anyone claims, I will make you enlightened, there are only two possibilities, I can tell you. There are only two possibilities. Either the person saying like this, they don't really know, they don't really have any idea about the true enlightenment. Or they're just willingly, knowingly bluffing or deceiving you. That's all. So nobody can make us enlightened in this world. Because when we have the ignorance in our mind, when we have the defilements in our mind, other people cannot really take them away. So the Buddha, as a teacher, he pointed towards this. He pointed towards our own imperfections. He pointed towards this and said, this is where your imperfections are. If you make the effort, if you practice correctly, then you can purify yourself. You can get rid of these imperfections. Then you can be enlightened. So the Buddha was doing just like this. In his own words, he was saying, my job is to teach, is to guide, is to tell you what you should do, how you should do. But the effort must be from your side. No, I can't do anything. If you make the effort, if you are sincere enough, if you have the sincerity, then you will attain. You will go beyond things, you can be enlightened. So this is what the refuge in the Buddha, acknowledging the existence of enlightenment and committing ourselves towards enlightenment. So when we every time we say, I take refuge in the Buddha, every time we look into ourselves. We look into ourselves and see, am I really going like this way, or am I going in the other direction and just trying to fool myself? So it's like a checking oneself again and again. By taking refuge, by repeating the refuge in the Buddha, we check ourselves. It's a check. It's a verification whether we are really doing or we are just saying it, like paying a lip service. Then the teachings, the second refuge, the Dhamma. The teachings that the Buddha gave. How, say, now we are talking about the inner purification, our mental purification. We are saying that we must get rid of our ignorance, we must get rid of our mental defilements if we really wish to be enlightened. But there is a precise way to do. We can't just think about it. I will get rid of my mental defilements, I will get rid of my ignorance, and it will disappear. It doesn't happen like this. There is a way, there is a certain way, a precise way of doing it. And that's what the teachings are. When the Buddha was giving us these teachings, he was pointing to this way. How can we purify ourselves? If we have to know how can we purify ourselves, then first, before that, we must know how do we become impure. It's like if you have to find the treatment for a disease, then you must also try to find out how the disease started. For example, now if somebody has unhealthy, unhygienic habit of eating at the wrong time, eating all kinds of oily or spicy food or unhygienic food, which may cause him some sickness in the long run. So if he doesn't give up the wrong eating habits, his sickness will not disappear. He can go to the doctor, take the medicine, but if he continues to eat all kinds of unhealthy things, unhygienic things, his sickness will not go away. So we have to also, similarly, if we really seek our mental purification, then we must look into ourselves and see where things go wrong. Where do we get into wrong? Where do we make the mistake? So Buddha, the sum and substance of the teaching that the Buddha gave, so many of them, but the sum and substance is this: purification at the level of our conduct, our verbal conduct, our physical actions and verbal conduct, whatever things we speak, whatever physical things we do. Some level of purification at this level. Then, after improving our speech and bodily actions, we practice meditation. Meditation, bhavana, is a mental development, overall mental development. There are so many techniques and supporting techniques and everything. So this meditation that we practice is to Allow our minds to go deeper, to be more calm and peaceful and one-pointed, to be more stable, to have the mental strength. When we have this mental strength born out of our meditative practice, samadhi, then we can see things clearly. That's the third level of purification. Wisdom. We can see things as they really are. We can see the body as it really is. We can see the mind as it really is. We say the body, our body. Our body, all the time we keep saying this, our body. But if it is really our body, if we are really the owner of this body, then we can say this body will remain just like this as it is now. It will not change, it will not grow old, it will not fall sick, it will not die. We could say this. We are the owner. If you have a car, if you have a house, if you have a mobile phone, if you have some gadget, whatever it is, you can do anything with it. You can operate it in the way you want. But can you really do this with the body? Can any one of us do? You can't. If we say the body will not grow old, can we do it? If we say the body will never fall sick, can we do it? If we say the body will not perish, it will not die, can we do it? So this is what the wisdom is all about, knowing things as it really is. We say the body, but this isn't our body, just the body. But then that is what the wisdom, that is what arises in our mind when we practice this purification at the level of virtue, good conduct, good speech, purification at the level of meditation, by letting go of our gross mental defilements, then the wisdom appears. The body isn't really ours. The mind isn't really ours. Mind, if it is our mind, okay, we say our mind. For conventional sense, we say our mind. But then think about it. It's okay, you get up in the morning and then you tell yourself, today, Sunday, 29th of May, from morning 6 o'clock till evening 6 o'clock, I will have A, B, C, D. You select certain types of thoughts. And without this A, B, C, D, these types of thoughts, I will not have any other thoughts. You make a mental determination or you make a note, mental note. Can you really do that? Can you really make sure only those thoughts will come and no other thought will come? That's why we say body isn't really ours. There's no I here. Mind isn't really ours. There is no I here. If there is an I, there is somebody who's the owner of this, then we could say, we could fix a time. 10 o'clock, this thought will come. 11 o'clock, this thought will come. 12 o'clock, this thought will come. We could do like this. We can't. Simply because there is no owner here. That's wisdom. But that wisdom doesn't appear on its own, doesn't spring on its own. So at the level of purification of our conduct, our physical conduct, and our verbal conduct, when we do moral purification, live a life of morality, live a life of goodness, live a life of truthfulness. This is fundamental. So if you skip over this, sometimes some people say it's not necessary. You can skip over this and directly go to meditation. Come, I will teach meditation. There is no need to be good in your speech. There is no need to be good in your physical actions. There is no need for good morality. Forget about these things. Just come to me straight away and I will teach you meditation and you will be an expert. They don't really know anything. I say they don't really know anything about meditation. If your verbal conduct, your physical conduct isn't good enough, your meditation is never, if it is really bad, your meditation is not going to be successful, never ever. It's never going to go deep. It's never going to give rise to wisdom. Enlightenment is never going to happen. So at the level of sila, morality, at the level of meditation, samadhi, and at the level of generating wisdom based on that meditative practice, this is where we can make our mind purified. we can make our mind free from defilements. So when we say we take refuge in the Dhamma, take refuge in the path, teachings, this is what is all about. Committing ourselves, I will practice this. For my welfare, I will practice this. For my own liberation, I will practice this. This is what the refuge is. So that's the Buddha and the Dhamma. And the third refuge, Sangha. When we say Sangha, community of enlightened disciples. Community of enlightened disciples who have already attained. So you can compare it like this. You can compare the Buddha with a doctor. In fact, in his own words, he said, I am the most perfect doctor because I know the true ill. The ill that doesn't reside in this body, the ill that resides in our mind. And I also have the medicine to remove the ill, the most difficult ill, our ignorance. I have the medicine. So the Buddha is like a doctor, you can say. The teachings, the Dhamma that he gave is like the medicine. And Sangha is like, you can say, nurse. People who help you how to take medicine, how to follow a certain diet plan, how to follow a certain health regimen, so that you can get better. You can be cured of your mental disease. So because they can do this because they themselves have become enlightened. They know it works. They know it will give the result. They know where people get stuck and how people can come out when they get stuck. They have first-hand experience, the community of enlightened disciples. So this is taking refuge in the Sangha. So when we say Buddhaṁ Saraṇaṁ Gacchāmi, then committing ourselves, I really wish to be enlightened. I really wish to go to enlightenment. This world as it is, no matter what I do, is still not good enough. This is a fundamental recognition about the world and its nature. The world, many years before, as a layperson, I used to think like this. You solve a problem and something else crops up. You solve that and then something else crops up. I used to think there are certain imperfections in the world. But then as I kept seeing the world and people and all conditions and all situations, then gradually it appeared to me, it's not that there are imperfections in the world. It's not like this. The world inherently is imperfect. That's the real thing. There are perfections and imperfections. People think like this. No, that's not true. What appears to be perfect in the world in the conventional sense are also inherently imperfect. Why? Now you have a wonderful job. You have a wonderful job. Before COVID, say take the example of COVID. Before COVID, so many people have so many good jobs. In the time, during COVID, so many people lost their job. So many people lost their money. So many people lost their lives, near and dear ones. So before COVID, people thought, oh, my life is perfect. My life is wonderful. And then it all changed. This is just one example. Similarly, as you see your life, it will go through changes. So the so-called perfect things are also inherently imperfect. So the world inherently is imperfect. It's not a perfect place. So when we take refuge in the Buddha, we acknowledge, I must give up the so-called false security of the world. If I just stick to the false security, this will give me security. What will give you security? What gives us security here? Can anything really give us security here? You go around, when you go back today, Whether you travel by a bus or auto or car or bike or whatever, you can see so many houses. When you go back, notice this. So many houses you will see. Big houses, small houses, rich people's houses, poor people's houses. You can see all of it. When you go back, notice this. And then contemplate all the people living in all these houses, whether it's rich or poor, big or small, all of these people are going to die. So all these houses are not safe place. People will still die. Rich people will die, poor people will die. All people will die. Simple. It's no big deal. Everybody dies. It's no big deal. So that's why we say there is no safety here. Nobody can overcome these things. Aging and sickness and death and loss and suffering. It is impossible to avoid. Whether we like it or not, it is impossible to avoid such things. That's why the samsara is inherently imperfect. That's why when we say, I take refuge in the Buddha, acknowledge this in our heart, that yes, this is inherently imperfect. I can't be perfectly satisfied here. Better to strive for liberation. And that's the first refuge in the Buddha. And then you take up the practice. Okay, let me seek my purification by practicing correctly, practicing by purifying my actions, my day-to-day actions, avoiding wrong actions, for living a life of goodness and virtue and morality, speaking correctly, truthfully. If you are aiming for example, when we say enlightenment is the highest truth, and then you say, I seek the enlightenment, you seek the highest truth, and then you start your practice by telling a lot of lies. You wish to reach the ultimate truth by telling a lot of lies. Does it really work? Somebody who has obesity, can they really reduce their weight after eating a lot of junk food? Does it really work? It doesn't. Similarly, by telling lies, nobody has a chance to be enlightened. It's not possible, simple. You like it, you don't like it, that's your problem, but that's the fact. That's a blatant fact. So that's when we take up the practice of our inner purification by virtue, by meditation, by generating wisdom. So this is our commitment. This is the refuge in the Dhamma. And then Sangha. We take counsel and guidance and advice from people who have understood it correctly, practiced it correctly, who have gone beyond this world. If we come across such people, then we take counsel from them, advice from them, how to practice, how to go about it. So that's the refuge in the Sangha, acknowledging there are enlightened people here, and then we can take counsel, take guidance. Not so-called so many. Now say when I say enlightenment, you also should be careful. Huh? There are so many people claiming to be enlightened these days. And I do not see the signs or the way they speak and behave. It doesn't appear to me that they are really truly enlightened. So be careful. In fact, Lord Buddha said this, a little harsh, but he said this. People who are not enlightened, yet claims to be enlightened, they are the biggest thieves in the entire world. They are the biggest cheaters and thieves in the entire world. Lord Buddha said this. People who, though unenlightened, claims to be enlightened, they are the biggest thieves and cheaters. Now so many people claim to be enlightened, isn't it? So many of them. Be careful. Huh? Be careful whom you take as your teacher and your guide. Be careful. People can say a lot of things, nice things, and then you are impressed. But nice things doesn't make a person enlightened. Huh? It doesn't. It's the purification. Some people may be very straightforward, but they have goodwill towards other people. They can be very straightforward. If they don't like, you make a mistake, they scold you. Some people are very sweet. Oh, it's okay. It's not a problem. You know? But then some people are not like this. They say, no, it's not okay. It's a problem. You made a blunder. It's not good. It's not good. It's not good for your own welfare. They are your real friends. You must select your friends and teachers correctly. They are your real friends who truly seek your inner welfare. They are harsh or polite, doesn't matter. Whether they wish that you become better, that's what matters. They want you to just they want just keep you like that. They may not be your true friend, So you must select your friends and teachers correctly. You must observe them for some time. Don't make a quick decision. This is the perfect teacher I have found. This is the perfect teacher I have found. Now that I am saying, I am giving a talk here. So you must also not make a conclusion. Okay, this person, this monk, he speaks like this. This is our perfect teacher. No need to take my words blindly. We do not encourage blind faith. We do not. You must see whether it's working for you or not. What I have said just now, you must put it into practice and see if it is working for you or not. If it is working for you, then it's good. You need not take my words blindly. You should not take my words blindly, in fact. You should not. You must verify. That's the real spiritual practice. That's what Lord Buddha said. The teachings I am giving is perfectly verifiable teachings. You practice them, then you can get the results here and now in this very life itself. That's why he said teachings are verifiable. So any teacher giving you teachings, you must try to practice and verify it is working or not. No need to take anything blindly. Then we wouldn't even tell you, you don't believe my words, you're going to hell. No, you are not. Just because you don't believe my words in the first place, you are not going to hell. Absolutely not. People might scare you like this. They are all fools. We don't. Because that's what Lord Buddha always encouraged. Have a mind of inquiry. Have a mind of something that you can verify. For example, if you practice the goodness in your speech, truthfulness, kind words, if you practice good conduct in your life, not harming others, living a good life, you practice like this, then after practicing like this, what happens to you? Does your mind get very much stressed out? It gets heavy? You are very much frustrated? No, it doesn't. When you live a virtuous life, moral life, your mind is peaceful, simple. Your mind has less worries. Your mind has less confusions. Because wherever you go, you're confident. I don't do anything wrong. I don't need to be ashamed of myself. No? So that's the power of virtue. So then you can verify, if I am virtuous, then I am truly confident. If I am good, then I am truly confident. That's the power of practicing good things that you can verify in this very life itself. You don't have to go to a teacher and ask, is it good or is it not good? Sometimes you can see things by yourself. So the teachings are like this. Lord Buddha's teachings are just like this. It is perfectly verifiable. So you practice, then it will give you the result. But don't take it blindly. So, with three refuges, as we discussed briefly, very briefly today, about the Buddha, Dhamma, and the Sangha. Committing is basically nothing but committing towards enlightenment, practicing for enlightenment, and taking counsel and advice and assistance from those who are enlightened. This is the three refuges. And this refuge is within you. When you practice correctly, commit yourself, do things in the right way, then the refuge is within you. People fall sick, they go to a doctor. So people have faith in the doctor. faith or conviction in the doctor. A doctor's medicine will make me good. But sometimes doctor's medicine does not make you good. You are still going to die, or other people are still going to die. You know? All the people who go to hospital, all of them come back. Some people come back, some people don't. Doctor's medicine not good enough. You see? But people still have some faith in the doctors. But this faith is not really that much powerful. I mean, this kind of faith doesn't take us far. People, when they go to sleep, I'm going to get up tomorrow and do and this and that. There's no guarantee you're going to get up. You may end up dying in your sleep. See? But still people have faith like this. This kind of faith is not really great, I say. But when you practice the right things, practice the noble things, good and noble things, then you will have the faith that your mind is in a good shape. Your mind is well directed. That confidence you will have. Whether other people tell you or don't tell you doesn't matter. You will still have that confidence. Wherever you go, whatever you do, your mind will be at ease. That's the real confidence. And that confidence will not be taken away by anyone. Cannot be taken away by anyone. That's the benefit of practicing noble things, good things. So this is what we offer to you for your own practice and contemplation. May you be able to remember, and may you be able to put these things into practice. And may you progress on the path of Dhamma, and may you walk towards enlightenment. With this, we'll conclude today's discourse today. If anyone has any questions about whatever I have said so far, then you may ask.
Everything is impermanent, even happiness and sorrow. Then why people are running behind?
You should ask yourself. You are also doing the same.
Yeah.
Then look for the answer within your own mind. If you are doing the same mistake, then you must ask yourself, okay, other people do this mistake I have seen, I also do the mistake. Why do I do it? When you make a mistake, try to find out. Before making a mistake, try to find out. After making a mistake, try to find out. Do you investigate your mind like this? Then you investigate your mind like this, then you will know better. Our ignorance and craving, you will know better. Yes. So every time we see our liking and disliking, every time we see the liking and disliking is one, and the consequence of liking and disliking is another. We need to see both of them again. When you like something too much, when you dislike something too much, there's liking, and then there are consequences of it. What happens to our mind? So we must investigate like this. Then you will have a clear idea. You'll have a clear idea. What is it good enough or is it not good enough? Getting stuck is good enough or not good enough? Then you will have a clear idea. And the result is suffering. So when you know the second noble truth, you also know the first noble truth. In the concept, don't use the word attachment because people tend to misunderstand it. You can say it's clinging. No. There are various ways of abandoning. Abandoning is not just, sometimes we keep our mind, for example, when we keep our mind with the breath, when we are doing the meditation. So when we keep our mind with the breath, we don't necessarily involve with other thoughts. That's one way of abandoning. Sometimes we see those thoughts as they arise, their nature. their nature is anatta, not I, non-self. We see like this with wisdom. That also is one way of abandoning. So like this, there are, in fact, there's a discourse called Sabbha Sabha Sutta. Various ways of abandoning the asavas. There are 7, 8 by using, for example, people have a car, they have attachment to the car. People buy a new car, they use the car. They have attachment to the new car. When you use it, when you use the car, you use it with a right attitude. What is the car for? To travel, to take you from one place to the other at a quicker pace. That is the use of the car. So that is the primary use of the car. Then there are so many other things associated with the car. You can put this thing or some luxurious items or this or that, but the main purpose is to travel quickly. That's the main purpose of the car. So we always go back. So that's also one way of abandoning, by using the things, keeping the object in the purpose. When you eat the food, taste becomes predominant for most people. But what is the primary purpose of eating? To be healthy. If we don't eat, we will fall sick and we'll die. Simple. That's the primary purpose of eating. But that becomes secondary for most people now. Taste is primary. Whether we fall sick or die, they will think about it later. But they will first try to eat something which suits their taste. So we don't go back to the try to go back to the real purpose of everything, even our day-to-day objects. So you can read that discourse called Sabbha Sabha Sutta in the Majjhima Nikaya. There are various ways of abandoning our cankers, our defilements. So if you read it, you will have some idea. Then you can come and ask me.
Are able to focus. So how to focus on natural in weather normal?
Do you practice walking meditation also? Do you practice walking meditation? You should start with walking meditation. Be aware of your legs, sensations in the legs. Practice walking meditation for some time, half an hour, like this. Be aware of the walking movements, just the feet movements. And then afterwards, your mind will become more peaceful. Then you can sit for your sitting meditation. It will be more helpful to watch the breath. Or sometimes when you are doing walking meditation, you can watch the breath when walking. That also will help you to see the breath clearly in the sitting meditation. Start with walking meditation.
Thank you. Since you said that you have to concentrate on breath while walking, as well as meditation. The thing is, in meditation, how do you control your 5 senses?
Yeah, that's a very good point. That's a very good question you ask. You don't control the objects. You don't control the senses. You have a sense of restraint. For example, now you go to a restaurant or something good cooked in your house, something good and tasty. So you focus on the eating correctly. How do you eat? Eat mindfully. Take the food, chew the food, be aware of the taste, chew it further, how the taste goes away, be aware of it. When you see like this, then taste is not the primary thing. So like this, all sense objects have certain kind of something to see, something to hear that is pleasant or agreeable. And then there are these sense objects which are unpleasant or disagreeable. So everything, but in both ways, wherever our mind get stuck with a pleasant sense object or an unpleasant sense object, then our mind becomes heavy. We contemplate this from time to time. When you want to listen to certain music you like, you listen to it again and again, then you get bored of it. No, not, I don't want it. I want something else. So that's where the wisdom will, if we are mindful enough, that's where the wisdom arises. it is not good enough, it is a burden. So every sense object we have to see like this again and again. There are drawbacks in all sense objects, whether it is pleasant or unpleasant, because we get stuck with liking or disliking. So there's drawbacks, those things we have to be aware by seeing them correctly. What happens is when our mind goes to a pleasant sense object, it just rushes and grasps. When it goes to an unpleasant sense object, it also rushes. Something, for example, you're sitting here. Now that your legs might pain, or mosquito may come and bite. And when the mosquitoes come and bite, then the pain arises. When the pain arises, mind goes, rushes there, dislikes it. That's also a sense object, bodily feeling, no? Sense connected with the body. So mind rushes there. Now you see the feeling, painful sensation, how it is. You see it, then you will have an idea this is also changing. After some time, people tend to scratch immediately. The itching feeling will come, they try to scratch. But if you don't scratch, try. Afterwards, that feeling will go away. So sometimes we have to try different methods like this practically by seeing their drawbacks, their changing nature, their burden, like this. So one day you will become suddenly understand all the sense objects. It's not. But if you make sure at least to start with, whenever I encounter a sense object, I will try to encounter any kind of sense object, through the ear and nose and tongue and body and mind. Whatever I am facing, whatever I am contacting, I will contact with awareness, not blindly rushing to it with liking or disliking. This you have to first make sure, then rest of the things will gradually happen.
Enlightenment means like not your senses.
No. I didn't say enlightenment means control of senses. No, I didn't say that. We don't control the senses, not like we are aware of our sensory touch, sensory contact. We are aware. Now that you are talking to me, I'm talking to you. The sound is there. Sound is there. You are saying something, I am saying something. Whatever I am saying, it is going to you. Touching your ear, it has a meaning. Whatever you are saying, it also has a meaning. Some question, whatever. So when we are focusing on this, then the words that I speak or the words that you speak may be pleasant or agreeable. But if it is pleasant or agreeable, we grasp it is so nice. When it is unpleasant, if I say, your question is not good, unpleasant. So you automatically try to repulse. So this is where we are aware. Words are just words. The contact with the ear is just contact with the ear. It arises and it passes away. Now those words, what we said at the beginning, or I said at the beginning, those words are finished, no? Sounds are finished. Do you feel them now? You don't feel them. No? It's just like this. So we are aware of the sense and sense contacts and sense interactions. So we try to be aware of it. What happens is our mind rushes to it all the time. That's our natural habit. So we change it gradually. Don't rush to it, but be aware of it. Then gradually wisdom arises, their nature, true nature. So we don't try to control, hold tightly or anything. We become aware.
Yes, also impermanent.
The Buddha was teaching us not to seek conventional happiness, because that is also impermanent. Like say, you have a job, you are not happy with your job, you go to another job with a better pay. Okay, that's a happiness, conventional happiness. But that will also last for some time. So he wasn't telling us when he was saying you must seek, he was saying freedom from suffering. Suffering is what? Pleasant and unpleasant both. Not just the unpleasant. Even pleasant is suffering. Why? Because pleasant becomes unpleasant after some time. If that is not the case, all the people who make a grand reception at the time of wedding, and then the husbands and wives fight like cats and dogs after some months or years, it would never happen. You see? It would always remain like the day they got married, they will be behaving like that for the rest of their lives. But they don't really do that, you see, because that's pleasant things also become unpleasant. So Lord Buddha was telling us this: don't seek conventional happiness. The conventional happiness is as good as bad as conventional suffering. It's just the other side of it. If you pick up a coin, can you say, I will pick up the head and not the tail? That's not possible. So he was telling us, don't pick up the coin. Don't try to pick up the conventional happiness, because you will also in the process pick up the conventional suffering, because that will change after some time. So he was telling us this, not to pick up things, not to pick up anything with our mind.
How one can be balanced the midst of this sorrow and happiness?
Looking into our mind. The sorrow stays with us. For morning you something happens, you are unhappy. Then you go somewhere, some other friends or relatives you meet, you become happy. Do you contemplate when you are happy, or that unhappiness has gone away? Do you contemplate? No. Then when you have happiness and then you go somewhere else, another something happens, again you are unhappy. Do you contemplate, or that happiness also doesn't stay? Do you contemplate like this? This is where our practice is. We don't take things as it is. We analyze them, investigate them, be aware of them. That's the real practice. Then we'll understand the nature of things, how they are. Not to take anything blindly.
What is the best time for meditation? Morning, afternoon, evening, or before going to bed?
Any time is good, but make sure if the surroundings are a little peaceful when you are trying to meditate. If there is too much of noise or too much of disturbance, it might be a problem, at least to start with. If you become better and better, then it will not be a problem. But to begin with, it may be a problem. So here you are doing early morning times or late evening, that time the noise will be less. So you can try any of those times. But if you find a time during midday or another time, that time suitable, that time also you can do. There is no fixed time for meditation. Any time is good. Any times.
And even by knowing that, even after going after this worldly things, we get a lot of sorrow and all, then how to control our mind? Because we know that we are going to suffer at last. Then how to stop this in the beginning?
We don't know it correctly. That's the problem. It's not that we know clearly. We know only 5% of it, 10% of it. Even 10% is a lot, I say. Majority of the people in this world know 0.5% of it. It's like this. The children, no? They when they start walking, they fall, they get up, they fall, they get up. So sometimes they know, if I walk this side, I will fall. Some they have some idea, but they'll still walk that side. It's like this. So our wisdom is less. So that's why we don't really understand the nature of suffering. We think we know, but we don't really know. That's the thing. We don't really know deeply. We don't really know completely. Forget about completely. Not even 50%, not even 20%. So that's what the practice is, to know them. That's what the meditation, when we practice the Dhamma, we try to understand the nature of our suffering, how it is, how it really is, how deep it is, how horrible it is, and how it is always with us in one way or the other. Then we will be able to abandon it. Till that time, we will not be able to abandon it. It's like people who are addicted to alcohol. Sometimes they have issues, health problems once in a while, or loss of money, or problem in the family, and then they forget, and again they drink, and again such things happen. So, but if they have a real big shock, they may think otherwise. But that big shock is big wisdom about suffering.
there any food changes required for meditation?
Not that I am aware of. Yeah. Only thing is, eating should be done in moderation. Overeating is not good. Not good for health, not good for meditation also. Your stomach should be partially filled, not like fully overfilled. Like if you are feeling heavy after eating, no, that is not the right time for practicing meditation. That's it.
Meditation is they are remedies.
Yeah, eat in moderation. Try to eat moderately, not too much. Or too less also bad, too much also bad. You see. Too less you eat, then your health will go down. Too much you eat, again, a lot of sickness will come. So eat in moderation. That will be good enough. So if there are no questions, then we conclude. Chanting of metta. Sukhi bhaveyang niddukho ahang nichang ahang miya hita cha me sukhi honto majjata dashaverino imani gamma khettam hi satta hantu sukhi sada tato parancha rajyesu machakkavale sujantanu sadhu sadhu. We'll meet again next Sunday, same time, 6 o'clock.